Hi everyone, on the day that we launched our exclusive white paper looking at the role of audio in an increasingly digital world, we thought it would be a great idea to get the gang together, talk about the key insights, talk about the key findings, and why did we even write this thing. First of all, big welcome to Chris, who's joined us, Enterprise Sales Director, and probably got a powerful resource to take out to all of our clients to talk about what we know about the call center and hopefully get them hooked into the need for better audio.
Yeah, great time to join. Very excited to be here and great piece of content for me to use.
Excellent. Well, let's start here. Jacobi, why did we even approach this subject and write this white paper? What's the idea behind it?
Well, I think it started with conversations with a number of our call and contact center clients and enterprise clients on looking at how they have moved over to this remote working space and seeing whether that was a tail from COVID that was going to tail out over time or whether it was a change in the way we were going to work. And the more conversations we had, the more we began to see that actually there is clearly a great benefit in the remote working and the efficiency of it. I think when it comes to call centers, we've seen firsthand from a lot of our clients that yes, there is a reduction in efficiency when people are working from home, but that delta between that and the cost of housing call center operatives is one that more and more are likely to take on the chin because of the obvious benefits of working remotely. But that obviously comes with a lot of side effects and negative parts to that conversation. And we really wanted to dive in and understand what they were and put some strong data behind not just the lack of efficiency, but also the lack of customer experience, productivity, and many other things that we'll touch on as we go on in this conversation.
I think the headline stat, the fact that 89% of call center agents, we'll talk about that study a bit more, but 89% of call center agents felt that background noise was a key negative factor in their ability to be performant in their roles as call center operatives. And that goes for people that are working in a home setting or in the office or a mix of the two. That's an absolutely huge percentage of those people at the coalface in this industry calling out that this is a problem.
Yeah, and there were some really powerful stats that came out of this study, and that's probably one of the top ones. I think this is the first of a number of studies that we're going to do, and this is obviously a very short study with a certain number of call agents, both here in the UK and in the US. I think in the future we want to go further and talk about some more longitudinal studies and around the effects on mental health and well-being and stress levels for some of these agents. But for the sake of this conversation, I think that's one that really stood out.
Yeah. Before we move on and talk to you, Chris, about your experience in the contact center space and how this really talks to the need in the market for such software. Let's just give you a few highlights of what the basis of this paper is about. The team here have researched a lot of pain points, different economic studies, but the bedrock of this is based on a survey that we carried out across 500 call center agents in the UK and the US. Directly asking them about their ways of being productive, the negative effects of background noise, working environment, and the shift in their the types of stress on their roles post-pandemic. So that's the basis of a lot around what we've written here. Chris, in terms of your experience in this space, what does this white paper talk to? What are the key highlights around how this industry has shifted towards hybrid working, premium for voice? You see AI assistants and chat and things like that. It's really a premium when you speak to someone. Just give us a few of your insights about this and why audio should be more at the fore of their thinking here.
Yeah, I think one of the things that the paper clearly highlights is how things have changed so much in the space of 2.5 years. Obviously hybrid working, the fact that many bricks and mortars contact centers had to go hybrid basically overnight. If you pick out certain things like the new realities that they're now facing, agent attrition's always been a major issue in the contact center, but the phenomenon of the Great Resignation and all these other factors, it's just a huge cost impact on any contact center now. And, the report only just highlights that even further, right?
Yeah, that attrition rate, 35 to 45%, year-on-year attrition. I mean, that's a huge cost to your business in terms of replacing those staff. Massive upheaval, particularly if you've invested in them in terms of training and so forth. And actually, one of the other power stats here, and we won't dig too much into the mental well-being side, because as you say, Jacobi, that's a longitudinal study. But 69% of our surveyed sample said that background noise was a factor in their mental health and a detriment to it. So as a key component of probably their choice to leave that role, that's a significant issue that we can address through arresting that background noise in that uncontrollable environment that they may find themselves. Rob, let's shift a little bit away from the white paper specifically and talk about voice isolation and the software that we've developed that really this leads to being a very lean solution for companies to integrate to their existing infrastructure. We've talked about it before, but just give us the highlights and specifically why it's optimized for VoIP, why we chose that.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's a few aspects to cover. I think firstly, we've trained our networks specifically to be able to cope with the demands of a contact center. Lots of different types of noises according to where you are in the world and where you're taking your calls from. We've got some of our clients and use cases where they're on farms in the middle of Africa, and so there's farm animals that we need to take out the conversation, as well as more typical background noise, babble. If you're dialing from a restaurant, from a cafe, these types of situations, we can effectively remove all of these types of noises through the intense training we've done with this model. Hours and hours, thousands of hours of different audio types we've run through, and really got a very powerful solution now that's a generalist and a very powerful tool for these types of companies to use. With regards to the kind of classic question that comes up is, why is this different from a noise cancelling headphone? Noise cancelling headphones obviously take away the noise around you for you, but they do nothing to control the noise in the call itself. It's really just for you personally to remove your distractions and allow some more focus and take your office teammates out of the equation for your own ears. But for the person on the other end of the call, they're still hearing all the noise around you and you're hearing all the noise around them. So they do nothing to address these fundamental issues that are far more of a detriment to the conversation and the communication. So with our technology, our voice isolation technology, we with our real-time solution, and it's really literally is real-time, and we're working in 22 milliseconds, which is very, very low. You won't notice that. It's so low that your brain won't even notice that kind of delay. Taking out all the noise in real time and giving clear, crisp communications to both parties.
The point around what we've done with optimizing for platforms that are out there, we were having an interesting conversation about partitioning and soundproofing, and if you're an outsourced call center, potentially you've got different client areas, or if you're a contact center working in a particularly kind of an environment where there's confidential information, GDPR and all of these factors. We've worked really hard to make this a seamless integration to existing VoIP, telephony, CRM, click-to-call infrastructure, right?
Yeah, and that's been a significant part of our sprint, because building the technology was obviously a great milestone to get to, but then we need to have it configured in lots of different types of settings. As you mentioned, CRM, click-to-calls through Salesforce, through HubSpot, these kind of systems connect with a number of different VoIP platforms like RingCentral, Vonage, Genesys, whatever it might be that you're using. And each one of those configurations has its own idiosyncrasies, let's say. So we need to make sure that we are fully operational and work well in all of those different settings according to what tools you have in place as a business and how you've got your infrastructure set up. So there was quite a considerable amount of work to work through all those different configurations and make sure that we are fully optimized for all of those.
Yeah. Of course, the software also is available to any user. This white paper talks to not just call centers, but other industries that have faced, disruption, but also the opportunity that hybrid home and digital working really presents. And I guess this is a solution that anyone can benefit from if they're doing virtual communications. Call centers is our primary market in terms of where we're proactively offering it up into the market, but there are many other people that can benefit from voice isolation software, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people that I talk to on a communication who are working from a WeWork space, and I literally cannot hear what they're saying to me before Iris Clarity, obviously, because there's just so much babble and background noise in the background. But yeah, with the flick of the switch, that's all gone for me, and the communications are clear, and I can understand exactly what they're saying. So these shared workspaces, which are so common now across London and other big cities, do have this issue.
Yeah, there's particular commentary in this paper about telehealth, about obviously big enterprise companies with virtual teams, and also smaller companies that work from a WeWork, or maybe they don't have any office location, they're just all working virtually. Talk about the customer end of things, because I think one of the key aspects of the technology is the fact it's bidirectional. So you've got not just the agent benefiting from this bubble of brilliant kind of isolated sound, but you've also got the customer experiencing that the other end, and vice versa. Chris, how important is the customer in all of this, the customer experience in terms of the contact center connection? Because quite often if you're speaking to someone, it's probably a complaint or something about payment, or again, voice is the premium to solve a difficult problem. And if background noise is there, it just becomes a terrible experience.
Yeah, I think one of the key stats that I picked up on in the report is the 85% of agents that we surveyed had picked out repetition as one of their biggest problems, right? Either on their end, on the customer's end, or both. And that's only going to have an impact. We've seen that average handling time of calls is increasing, and that has an impact, right? That has an impact on cost. There's a cost impact to your agent spending more time on each of those calls. And it also has a negative impact on key metrics such as Net Promoter Score and CSAT, right? So all those things about customer experience, it's a downward trend.
I think just to add to that, I think just to pull out a point you made is call centers speaking human to human is really moving into a premium service as more and more AI is supporting some of the less premium solutions. So if you're moving into a premium service and then the service is far from premium. I think there was a stat in the report that said 22% of remote working call center operatives were working from either a windowsill or an ironing board. If you can imagine that experience, the environment from an audio perspective is probably going to be quite poor. So how you can boast a premium experience or a product without really tightening up that environment and controlling those uncontrollable noises.
Yeah, that was actually, you picked my question off before I asked it, because ultimately the way that people should see solutions in this space are not as an additional cost line. This is an investment in your ability to be more efficient, reduce that repetition, reduce the overall call time, which ultimately makes your operation have more capacity in it and service more customers and service them better. And actually, that's really what we're talking about with companies right now, isn't it? Really, running POCs with them where they see with their own operation the difference between a group of agents using Clarity versus a group of agents that are just working on their existing infrastructure.
Yeah, and that lens, whether you're in a large warehouse with numerous operatives or working from home. And actually, we found with a lot of our clients that they've said, their employees are coming back, in which case, how does this fit? Or they're staying remote, and how does this fit? And then once they dig into the technology and understand the bidirectional element and how it's not just benefiting the client listening to the call center operative, but also the other way around, it really does increase efficiency for these calls. And as we know it, and with a large scale business like that, it's so important. Absolutely.
Well, we'll wrap up there. And, this is a white paper about the stats and the insights affecting the industry, not something that's about selling Iris Clarity. You can get a free trial for a month when you download a copy of the free report. Head to our website. I'm sure we'll put a thing at the bottom of the screen of where you need to head to. The key takeouts: 89% of call center agents are telling us that background noise is a factor in their ability to be productive. 85% of agents are saying that background noise is causing repetition, either at their end or the customer end. And 69% of agents are saying that background noise and distractions are affecting their mental well-being, which has got to contribute to that incredibly high employee staff turnover. So those stats are in the report, lots of other commentary. A big shout out to Scott, Diana, and Tiana and our team, who have done an amazing job in preparing this report. We will be wrapping this all up in other webinars with some of the guest contributions that are in the report in a few weeks' time. Stay tuned for that one, but we hope you find the read an interesting one, and hopefully something that will present you opportunities to take action on and improve your business operations, whether you're in a call center or any other industry. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks.